Okay, it is now 6:02 and we're going to call this meeting to order. Lacey? We'll call this meeting to order when Lacey gets back. We're just making some extra copies. We'll be starting in a minute. Look at you. Did you help him with his book report?
That's a draft. I'll do look at.
We look forward to it.
I get another.
Good read. Okay, are we ready? Yeah. Okay, now we're at 6:05. Now I'm glad you made copies. We're at 6:05. I'd like to call this meeting for order. Let's start with roll call, John. Oh, sorry. It's after roll call. See, you're messing me all up. Thank you. Fail. Go ahead. Mayor. Our president of Concord. Let's go ahead and do that pledge of allegiance since I'm on my chair. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, looks like we have some agendas to approve. Well, actually, the agenda is approved. There's no amendments, right? No last minute emergency amendments, so we're good to go there. Approval of the minutes, December 13th. Travis is doing the first. Ryan, was that you doing the second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Passes. December 28th. Steve? O'Brien, right? As the second, all those in favor say aye. And Travis is abstained due to absence. Okay, claims payable, green sheet. We have to make a motion to quit having the repeating bill. Basically, they're holding data that we have confirmed that we have copies on. And so it's just a matter of when you guys want to release it. Yes, we have it ready. They were just holding it to make sure that we did. Need to make a motion for me to let them know that we will no longer do that. Can we do that in the middle of accounts payable? Okay, okay. So Brian's making the motion to cease the repeat billing. Nikki's got the second on that. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? None. Brian's got the first, Nikki's got the second.
I do have, the bill for garbage and more is not on there. I forgot to bring it home. I finished it, I can go.
So that'll be coming subsequently.
That is, well, it's in the packet. For, and,
9690, which is a normal bill for us, so you just need to get their separate approval for that. We need a separate approval for the garbage and more's invoice that is not included on this green sheet, but it is in the packet, so we can pay the bill. We go, Travis got the first, who gets the second? Ryan's got the second, all those in favor say aye. Any other changes?
9690.
I guess we would need to have a motion to approve the claims payable as amended. Right? Because we changed two things. How did we do that? Yep. Oh, okay, thank you. Ryan? Nikki? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Howard time. Everyone's too full. Too full, let's speak up for public time. So, on to old business. So, those of you who have been sticking around, you know, when we went through our election back in April 2022, our transfer of power was anything but normal. It's the overstatement of the country, I would say. And so we really didn't have a transition. There was, we were missing logins, we were missing passwords. We were locked out of computers. We walked into empty filing cabinets, not empty files, empty filing cabinets. We found shelves of empty binders. We found empty manila folders in the bottom of garbage cans, but nothing in the contents. We found 4 boxes that were ready to be shredded. And we also found an invoice that was, for 1,400 pounds of paper that was already shredded and turned into recycling. I did a little bit of research on that. That's 140,000 pieces of paper that were shredded from our city hall. When we got access to emails, we found very quickly that many of the emails were missing. They were deleted. And, we also found that the shared drive seemed suspiciously light. We found that a commercial level surveillance system had been installed in City Hall. And, all 3 rooms. It was both video and audio. And, upon reviewing of some of the footage, in conjunction with seeing the condition of City Hall, your council voted on June 1st of 2022 to authorize Computer Forensic Resources to perform a forensic analysis of your city's computer systems and files. Okay. Computer Forensic Resources has now completed its work, and we do have some preliminary information, and there's more information that's forthcoming. Because we work for you, the citizens of Bolton, it would be worth considering that it's important to see what happened to your city hall. With the council's permission, I would like to share some video clips and other information. Oh, that's a question for John. Brian's making a motion to release the Kraken. Nikki's gonna do the second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. See if I can get this to work. Share my screen. The internet access is not the greatest back here. So this might be a little more arduous than I would prefer. I can start it over too. Hold on. And let me see what I can do. Start this over. That's record retention. Oh, I want to let you know, there's some strong language. So if you have kids at home, just so you know, it's coming. I'll play it again. I'll figure it out. Okay. So what? The, I don't know how you guys want me to do this, because I know you couldn't hear most of that. I'd be happy to explain to you what they said. And of course, all of you will have records of this. Right now, you'll see that it's on the YouTube channel. It's not on the public YouTube channel. It's on a private, unlisted channel that only people with the links have. I'll release this if you guys say to release it. If not, if you guys want to review it yourselves first, or we can review it publicly and I'll go through clip by clip with you so you can understand what was going on. Or if you guys have questions, because this is your city hall. What do you want me to do? It's 7 minutes, but it's a lot. Well, no, it's just a little bit. It's just 7 minutes. There's a lot. This is just a bit of it. How would you like me to proceed? Do we have questions? Do you want me to go clip by clip? What do you want me to do?
I would have to think over a lot more. I didn't know anything about.
The footage, as you guys had all said, needed to be evaluated. Because,
When do you want to talk about people?
the MSP. In a minute. I mean, this is the clip. That's the only clip that is prepared at this moment. Want to see it again, or what do you want to do? I have another clip. I just wanted to see what you guys wanted to do with this one first. Okay.
I mean, I didn't use it.
Were they not aware of the cameras and they will be recorded, or were they that?
Brazen.
Or to speak on behalf of somebody else.
You could not, that would have to be a word in the fire skill for that. I mean, you could be born that way. Make that kind of comment, action, so on camera.
Travis, you were gonna say something?
No, I can't judge or it on judge, but at the end, it doesn't happen, but yeah, it's the certainly the unique situation that we're all in the situation that all these people, myself included, anybody.
Yes, John.
All the data is a file, everything. That's what it is. When you get in this.
Another question, and sorry, I forgot to find it. What is our city council going to do with regard to placing criminal venue that happens here in our home? Not all. Or am I ahead of the game?
You know,
Well, no, no.
Is this not public information?
this is the first time it's been made public because the council just allowed to make this clip public. Correct. I think it's fair to say that when the council, voted to have the forensic company come in and take care of everything and secure it, it was because as soon as we saw the egregiousness of what had happened, we consulted experts immediately. Those experts advised us to secure the assets and, preserve them, make copies of them forensically in the event that they are needed. So that's what we need to do. That's what was done. That's what was voted on. That's what was done. Um, well, I have another clip. Yeah, that would probably be good. Any strong language is on the description of the video, so when it does get released, it says warning of strong language, so you know. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? And Sarah Frankenstein made it very clear to us that the council has the full authority to either keep private or make public anything they deemed appropriate. Can I speak to confidentiality and HR stuff, just to explain that? I agree with that, but in being a person who has reviewed hours of this, there are things that are personnel matters, confidential matters, HIPAA matters, things like that. So for those reasons, the entirety will never be released because it's unethical, like all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. So there are, no, but my recommend, yeah,
So those,
Sorry,
it's a
sorry.
very narrow bandwidth that is. The basic day.
right. No, and I don't mean to, yeah. I mean, it's 3 weeks and 3 cameras, right? Dick, to answer your question factually, the election was the 18th. Nikki, Ryan, and I came and signed our oath of offices on the 20th, I believe it was. I believe it was the 20th. Because we didn't want to be offside of the, state statute, so we came to City Hall and signed our oath of offices on the 20th. On the 25th, this was all installed. We know that because the footage started on the 25th. And then it ran, until, found it and saw what was on it, and then we had to secure it. So that's kind of how that went. I don't know how to answer your question, and I don't think anybody can, but you go on camera. So that's my answer to that. What I can, here's what I can say. What I can say based on the footage, everybody was fully aware that the cameras were in place. Everybody was fully aware that things were being recorded, and everybody was fully supportive of that. Help me understand what that means. Mhm. Oh, sorry. You know, they don't want to sit and look at that YouTube page? Very good. No. Because they were secured for forensic purposes. Rastec, on the request of the city administrator at the time, Becca Wolf. $3,600. We don't have record of approval, but at that point in time, there was an ordinance that the city administrator could spend up to $5,000 a pop on anything on a, I'm sorry, it was a resolution. There was some kind of resolution that said that the city administrator could spend up to $5,000 with only a verbal from the mayor on anything. Yes, but we don't have a city administrator. So that doesn't apply anymore.
Spending limits still apply, there's pages with spending limits, like the. Right, and spend X amount. There's, I think there's like three different. I think the administrator was. But there's variation of that still in today, because I was, trying to count down and get every single.
But it's not that fast.
Then government. Doesn't throw it out or something.
So position doesn't exist anymore, so. No, it's explained it's explained on camera how this came about. There's a lot explained on camera how things came about.
Want to formulate some sort of comprehensive report at the end of the forensics, similar to, I can see it instead of having the piece by piece, really, whatever, and he's gonna use some sort of comprehensive case. Forensic update done.
I am more than happy to recommend you guys to have some type of public hearing so the city of Baltic can see pertinent and appropriate information regarding the destruction of their city hall. And I think the taxpayers have my personal opinion as a taxpayer, and the person that has seen probably the most footage of this, I would highly recommend that the citizens of Baltic get to see everything that I saw. Just gotta give me a minute, it's been a little difficult. Okay, we're gonna share files again. You need some background before you see this, because you're gonna look at it and like the other, you see half of it, and you can't follow it. So would you prefer I give you a little backstory and then you see the video so you kind of understand what you're watching, or would you like to watch it and then have me explain it? What would you prefer that I do? Either way. Okay. I can do that. When all of us got sworn in, we were given Chromebooks. They're just, you know, basically easy sign-on computers kind of thing. I think we got them from the,
Part of the COVID era.
part of the era.
Being remote.
Yep, and so, which was, you know, made perfect sense at the time to do that. All of the Chromebooks were white. All of us got brand new emails. Huh?
Right.
Rastec, white, all of the computers. Becca told him to. And, even Travis, who was still serving, and Brendan at the time, who was also still serving. So a current alderman, two current aldermen, who were gonna go into the next term, their computers got wiped too. I don't know what explanation you got, if you got one at all.
Not that I can recall.
I think from what I understand, everybody turned in their Chromebooks after the last meeting, before the transition of power, and they were all stacked on a table on the camera, from what I recall. That's what I recall. And then we all got new ones, and everything was clean. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the technology that is Microsoft Teams. It's part of the Microsoft Office. You know, Suite, you know, you have your Outlook, your Access, your, you know, Excel, Word, things like that, and then you have Teams. Teams is basically a way to collaborate within a team. So you can do video calls. That's what we use now. This is what we're using as Teams to do this. There's a lot of different functionality within the technology that's Teams. You can make phone calls if you have the right settings. You can chat amongst yourselves if you know, choose to do that. So everyone who's logged into your Teams, you can chat amongst yourselves. It's a really great way to be effective, you know, at work, such, you know, that kind of thing, or with your family or whatever. There's also a thing called a Teams channel, okay? A Teams channel is basically a place where people all sign up and join a group. And they all participate there to collaborate, okay? That's what a Teams channel is. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions about the technology? Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can do this again. You guys familiar with the word factory reset? I got it on Max. But you know what, when you watch this on your own, you'll hear some of it. That's why I offered to go back and explain to you what it said. Yeah, it is on our. This is Becca Wolf, and this is Chad, the president of Rastec, which was our managed services at the time. He just got up and said, "Oh, is this the one you're doing the factory reset on?" I don't know how to fix that. They can read the captions. Watch the screen in front of Becca. He blue screened everything and set it back to factory reset, clean them out. We did them all.
That's typically prohibited by the personnel. So you know.
Oh, a couple things worth noting on that. Did you guys catch all that? Do you have any questions? I'm sorry, I didn't get ahead. There's a discussion. I don't know if you could hear it, but she was asking how to delete the Teams channel, because she didn't want anybody to see it. Chad showed her how to do it. Then she kept asking about one particular email account, which is Baltic Council One. Baltic Council One is Aaron Senna. When we came here, we had copies of Travis's, we had copies of all of the councilman's email. There wasn't hardly anything in there, but we had copies of all of it. The Baltic Council One was nowhere to be found. Like, you could tell there was an account, but it was gone. I don't know why that one account was so much more important than the rest of yours, because all of yours were pretty benign. You know? So there's that. Do you have questions about that? Yeah,
They all manage.
What you're watching is you're watching an independent IT provider who's deleting city-owned property. That's what you're watching. I guess what I want to tell you is that one of the things we found, well, we had a meeting with James Zawacki and Chad Brown.
let's drop. Hold on. I don't show that anything dropped on my end.
Okay. On June 3, 2022, compared and Colleen Z, is a lawyer and an electronic discovery expert, and Dan Minky, they're a company that does forensic work in actual.
John, can you speak slower and more loudly? People can't hear you.
Okay. On June 3 of 2022, well within the 60-day window to recover this data that has been deleted by RadTech and the city administration. Well within that 60-day window, on June 3, 2022, Colleen Z, a lawyer and an electronic digital discovery expert, and the owner of Computer Forensic Resources, Dan Minky, and myself, the mayor, we met with James Wicks and Chad Ronshausen at that office because we wanted to recover data that had been deleted. At no time did they tell us that we had the ability within that 60-day window to restore it. We went merrily on our way and learned in August from Computer Forensic Resources that RASAC, when they set up the city of Albany, Microsoft 365 account, they provided no backup system to back up any information associated with the cloud-based cloud. So RASAC, you saw the conversation, he's telling back to work, they have up to 60 days to restore this data. We met with Mr. Ronshausen and Mr. at RASTEC office on the 3rd of June of 2022, barely 2 weeks after we were logging through this process, trying to figure out where are the files related to the development, where's the Grant Park capital data, is there a development agreement, is there a bond that was posted, what's the history of the preliminary plan, the final plan, the infrastructure, all of those things.
You can also add it as basic functioning of City Hall. We literally have nothing.
To this day, we don't have that below pasture.
We still have yet to have access to a computer because she can't remember her password.
So what happened is that the data, the window of opportunity to fully restore all the data that had been deleted.
And it was lost on the watch of our managed services company that we pay. We pay to take care of our IT. And they deleted it and then they let it go into the ether. And we paid them.
Contract for the city hall for what actually transpired here in our.
Well, Deb, one could say that he was simply following orders. Unfortunately, under the new administration, when we were asking very specifically to recover data, they were less than helpful.
They were
I would like to think, tend to be that. And
He had
he
it.
was smart enough to know exactly what he was not telling you in that meeting.
One,
I mean, yeah, it was divided, I didn't count things.
at one point in time, I did recover deleted emails because I asked James, who works for Chad, to recover deleted emails. And so I didn't know if they were worthy or not, but we got them back. They were returned back to the deleted files of the emails. And I thought, oh, good. Now maybe we can put some stuff together. Maybe we can look at it. We can figure it out. But it was a bit of a crazy time. And again, because our out of the box retention law is 60 days, and that's in any Microsoft. If you don't go back in and send those retention laws, like Chad was talking about, the 60 days,
But there's no backup. You had no backup. What business run without a backup system? So the city was allowed to run naked,
yeah.
and was susceptible to having this kind of data loss.
So they knew we wanted the deleted files back. They recovered them, but then again, in 60 days, they were gone. Because we didn't move them out of the deleted files into somewhere else where we could have gone through them. And nobody advised us to move them out of deleted files. Because in 60 days, it would be gone. And when I asked them, why in the world did you not tell me to move these out of deleted files because of the retention policy? The answer was, because I'm not in the business of espionage. At this
I
point,
think he did.
at this point in time, based on the experts we have spoken to, the only way to get into that laptop is to wipe it clean. And we don't know. We don't know if it's just cut our losses and wipe it clean and get access to the computer to vote that cost us over $2,000 to try to replace it, because we were trying to figure out what to do. There's footage. Can I say things about footage that are appropriate to the conversation, or would you prefer I didn't? Okay, there is footage where Becca made it very clear on camera that she was never gonna allow me access to her computer. Now, I don't know if that was me personally or the city as a whole, but she just basically said, I'm not gonna give her my laptop or my password because that has all my personal stuff on it. That's what she said on camera. That's what it said. I'm just telling you what it said. I can find you the clip. It takes a while. There's a lot there. What we have, what the forensic company gave us were clips based on the motion. So that's what I have as clips, because we have continued to preserve the integrity of the cameras.
In other words, there could be other really important audio. But someone would have to sit,
Watch it.
watching for hours and hours and hours. And
I will tell you personally, if it's all right, I didn't sleep for the first 2 weeks in office. Probably the first 4. Because if I wasn't in City Hall trying to put things together and, still working my full-time job at night, I was reviewing footage, trying to figure out what had happened. It's been a really interesting year and a half.
So you saw what happened. You mentioned anything to do with the city, and campaign. But now that all this stuff is behind me, and a lot of, holes in the dike have been plugged, and, about 18 months of contested matters of litigation.
We still don't know what we don't know.
A year ago, at the time, you saw a group called Southwood Transfer. And I'm not, you know, we can't get.
You digress. You digress. You digress.
Mine is.
This is not how you do it.
A lot of care and caution in the right way. Breaking the narrative, we don't have, well, one hand breaking it back. While we were going through this nightmare of having employed city officials.
Honestly, it was on the air of caution.
It was elected government, so this really was, no, it's an attempt to nullify. That's my opinion, my opinion alone. But what took place in April of May, June of 2022 was an attempt to nullify the council. Another effort to nullify it again. So you have to ask yourself, why? What is motivating? Why? And that's a question you've never been.
It makes no sense.
Why people would put their integrity of their law enforcement vulnerability.
Their family's reputation.
Law was the mind, what's out there in terms of the law. You know, unless there's a law.
We haven't found yet.
You haven't found.
It's possible we just haven't found it yet. You guys, we've been a little busy.
And litigation, no way to run people.
No, it's not. Do you have a question? I'm sorry. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. Here's,
can make everything.
well, here's what we know. We know that the employees of City Hall all collectively and agreeably decided to halt the normal functions of City Hall when they decided it was their time to leave. We know that undeniably by the words that they spoke out of their own mouths. I know you only saw 7 minutes of a clip, but I can tell you, I can show you much more that would relieve any shadow of a doubt that they were all aware, they were all in agreement, and they all actively participated in destroying the normal operations of your city. It's unquestionable. Now, maybe like Travis said, we don't know why. We can't speak on their behalf. All we can do is see what's on the camera. The reason why that 7 minutes was chosen is because it's by their own words telling you what they did. I can show you hours of the finance officer, Sarah Smith, going through every binder in City Hall and deciding if she wants to shred it, if she wants to throw it, or if she wants to recycle it. There's hours of her going through and throwing things away and cleaning things out. When we came in here, we found empty personnel files where the mail folders of past employees, but no contents were in there, coupled with conversations of the city administrator telling employees they can take whatever they want out of their personnel files as long as they make a copy. So there's corroborating when you when you see the dialogue on camera and you couple it with the dialogue in previous council meetings, and then you look at how the behavior post-election, and then you look at choices, and you start putting the pieces together, the question I can't answer is why. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. I have every reason to believe that when Travis and Brendan took office with us, they had no idea that the employees had gone to this kind of extent. I had every reason to believe that they had no knowledge of that. I don't know who knew what. I don't know who talked to who. You can hear phone conversations and guess who's on the other side of the phone based on the context of the conversation and make assumptions, not the business of assumptions. Any other discussion on this? Because I got one more thing. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Okay. Any opposed? Motion passes. So through this entire journey, it's been a lot to shoulder this on your guys' behalf. And to know what I know, and to know that the people that did this knew that I knew. That's a lot. It's a lot. And by the grace of God, we still managed to run City Hall. We still kept the city afloat. We found the right people at the right time, even though the finance officer at the time openly and willingly told everybody she was leaving us high and dry, even though state statute dictates that finance officers are not allowed to leave their post until they're replaced. And even though the maintenance supervisor, you heard yourself, said that, oh, she was gonna try to get me to stay, but there was no way I was gonna stay. Same state statute stands for the maintenance supervisor must stay in place by fiduciary oath until they're replaced. Lucky for both of them, we had replacements when I got sworn in, I think you all recall. So that was nice, because we kept afloat. In spite of all their efforts, we kept afloat. It hasn't been easy. There's been hours and hours and hours of your taxpayer dollars that have been spent trying to piece this together. And we're not even half done. We're still trying to figure out, there's another section of the S drive, which is the shared drive. That's where all the files have been kept in previous administrations. When the forensics company secured that, they took photos of it, you know, back in time to forward in time to try to figure it out. And you can see, and I'm sorry I don't have it here today, but I can certainly, with your permission, make that accessible. You can see that well over a third of the files are gone after the election. Now, if any of you guys have ever done folders on a computer, there could be one file in that folder, there could be 1,000 files in that folder, it could be your mammy's favorite brownie recipe, it could be someone's yoga schedule. I mean, we don't know what it was. And I will ask for your forgiveness that I have chosen not to ask for the manpower to go through every single folder to figure out what we missed, because we simply didn't have the bandwidth. And maybe the golden egg is in there. Maybe if we actually took the time to look through all those folders that were deleted and go back in time and try to reconstruct everything, because they misnamed folders, they misfiled stuff. I can't even tell you how many times I've had my employees go, it's like someone just took papers and just put them in the folders. We spend more of your dollars looking for things than we do running your city because of this group of people. And you need to know that. I'm a taxpayer too. Somehow, they thought they were doing this to me. And I can say that unequivocally by the footage that I've watched. But they didn't do it to me. They did it to all of you, their neighbors, their friends, their family, the families they coach, they go to church with. They did it to you. They upended your city hall and destroyed to the point that we were almost inoperable. Okay, so, sorry, I get a little, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yes,
I do believe.
which information? Well, those two videos will be released on the city YouTube channel because the council just released it. So,
That would be what.
yep. Is it prudent? It's factual. Okay, what, walk me through this. I'm sorry, Dave.
So.
I think the can of worms was open when we did it.
You have no gratitude, I think, in your. If you. Or. You know, there's no gratitude. Right?
Also, it's a city asset and they were all acting in the capacity of city employees. No, I get it. I'm just speaking fact. Was it really, trust me, I would prefer that this was never a council meeting I'd ever have to have again.
One thought, I have yes, yes, I think we can get it to, and I'm not saying people this, and I'm like, so the prudency for me comes here, if we put evidence out there for them to see, and we show them our card, if that detriment to going forward, getting the outcome that I think really is worth the people's job, that they pay for what they do in our.
So what do you think?
I'm just throwing it out there for conversation. You know, do we want them to know how much we can?
They,
Are we?
this is a public meeting, Deb. They already know. Well, it's recorded.
Last time, but I didn't.
There was a technical issue. I had a technical problem with the recording. I did.
I know about yourself.
Oh, I was very upset because I've made it a huge priority to make sure these meetings are recorded. I was not.
That's why I said I'm not listening.
Yeah, I was not pleased.
That would be my only thought is, you know, evidence, if the county is going to decide to take this in the court system. If you're not, then shoot,
Deb,
let them have, they can show that Christmas.
maybe you should ask your counsel if they want to spend your dollars on another lawsuit. So there's more. So I'm sorry, you guys are like, oh God, no, not more, but there's more. So, share my screen. Yeah, go ahead. Would you guys like me to answer that question based on the footage that I've seen? I can speculate based on the footage that I've seen. Based on the footage that I've seen, Becca asked very directly, let's go back in history a little bit. If you recall, right prior to the election, there was a code of conduct for elected officials law that came out to remove elected officials from office. We talked about this at length. Becca requested to have the footage in City Hall. So if anything happened in City Hall, she could send it off to the attorney. It was also confirmed via footage that it was only Chad from Rastec and Becca that had the administrative rights to the footage. Okay? Yes,
Point of information.
yes.
Under the code of conduct, the attorney appointed has to be investigated. Violation of the code of conduct.
So you know what? We could talk for 40 minutes about that crazy code of conduct. I don't even.
But that's, well,
It,
that it's designed to be a weapon.
it was designed to remove people from office.
Yeah.
As best I can tell, there was a bit of infighting going on between elected officials. There was some consternation about things going on in the past administration. I'll leave it at that. And there was an intense amount of concern should other leadership move into City Hall. Okay? Yes, she could have, because she was asking how much memory the video had and how does it replace and can she record it and can she delete it? And Chad said, I'm not sure, but I'll try to figure it out with you because I'm not an expert in this, but we'll try to figure it out. But she had it also installed on her phone. So when she wasn't in City Hall, she could still watch the video in real time and showed everybody as such. And there was one point of the footage where she goes, yep, then if I see anything, whoop, off to the attorney and here we go. Is what the footage says. I can find you the clip. I have no reason to make this up. Back up. Am I wrong?
No.
Well, Travis would know.
Got the attorney on this one. But why something like this? Like, it wasn't something as here all detail that you hear about in further, obviously, but that was. Probably knows that somewhere in there, you
Becca said it was, she saw it at a city manager's meeting. But just to let you know, the code of conduct law was a conjoined policy between Rapid City and Hot Springs, which are much larger cities than us, who did have code of conducts, but they also had hundreds of employees. We had 5, we had 4. I talked about this in the debunk the retail speech because, you know, it was one of the things that was so horrible about it. So, okay. I'm sorry, I just saw the time, it's 16. We spent way more time on this than I wanted to do. If we want to have a subsequent meeting, we can. There is more. I gotta show this and then we'll do that, I promise. I'm sorry, but I knew, all right. I have been living in this space since the day I walked in City Hall and when I saw that footage. And I have been trying to do the right thing. And I'm still trying to do the right thing for you, the citizens that chose me to lead your city. Okay? So, some days are just harder than others, you know? Okay. Let's get on with it. I'm not quite sure how to navigate this well. So I'm gonna do the best that I can. Kind of difficult to explain. But let me do the best that I can. I'm gonna share this. Okay, here we go. Let's take this guy. Let's move this. This is not gonna be easy. I'm just gonna show this to you. And then I'll probably take it off because it's not gonna work. Because you know how slow this is and it's super annoying. I'm just gonna do this and then I can show you later. I can show you whatever you want to see, but there's certain things that I can't show you in this, okay? We have the Teams channel. We got it. There's 3,000, what was it? 3,655 messages in a thread. Thank you. The footage that we saw, that said they deleted the Teams channel, we had every reason to believe that it was gone. We looked in several places, and then we found it. The very first message in this Teams channel was started on December 30th of 2020. And the very last message was April 19th of 2022. Okay? This is a 2-year-long group text of elected officials and city employees. So we all know what quorum is, right? Quorum is where you cannot have a majority conversation, particularly with elected officials, because we are responsible to have all of our discussions in front of the public with 24 hours notice. Okay? Let me say this again. We had from December 30th of 2020 to April 19th of 2022, a back Teams channel, shadow government, running our city with a quorum of elected officials. When we looked at the thread, we found that there was over 3,600 messages in the thread as a whole. Now that's every group, every Teams channel. So this is going to get a little technical. I'm going to make it as simple as I can. Okay. We knew that that wasn't all quorum. So we had to filter out the stuff that wasn't quorum, but the stuff that included all of the elected officials in a discussion were 2,138 messages in exchange over the course of 2 years. Okay. When you look at open meeting law, it's pretty clear. It's been pretty clear since the Attorney General cited the statements on what is the definition of quorum in 2017, that it's any time that you have 3 or more elected officials in a room talking city business, the citizens have a right to know. Anyway, now, don't get me wrong. Travis and me and Ryan can sit here and talk about our favorite brownie recipe, but what we can't do is discuss how we're going to vote on something, what we should put on an agenda, or how we're going to vote on an agenda item, or vote. Okay, we can't do that, right? So when you look at those 2,138 messages, a lot of them are really benign. It's the thank you, it's the yes, happy birthday, sorry about your grandma, you know, kind of things like that. There's a lot of stuff in there. But there's also, and then also in open meeting law, it said that if you're scheduling, like, you know, 7 o'clock doesn't work for me, we're gonna do 6 o'clock, you know, are you okay on the 21st? No, I gotta meet on the 20th. Scheduling's kind of a loose thing. Like, that's not really a violation, because how else are you gonna schedule a bunch of people that are super busy? So we haven't had time to just completely vet this. My numbers aren't, this is like a smattering, okay? But from what I can tell, what did she say? Roughly 10% of these are scheduling. So like 200 or so of these are scheduling. Okay, so you're still down to like 1,800 messages or whatever. About another 10% of them is about meeting packets. What's in an agenda? How are you gonna, you know, what did we forget in agenda? What should we put in an agenda? You know, those types of items. Another 10% of it is discussing HR issues. Now, hear me. You know, elected officials got to run a city, and you got to figure out this stuff, and you got to have these discussions, which is why I frankly, I don't want to show you the thread, because there's a lot of HR stuff in there, which I don't think is prudent, right? Prudent, and I don't want to accidentally show you something, and then people go back and watch the recording and look and see what it said. So that's my concern about showing this right now on the screen like this. There's actually 50 to 100 messages discussing quorum in this Teams thread. They're discussing what quorum is while violating quorum. They're actually also talking about transparency and how we need to do things right, and how we need to go by the book, and we got to follow the rules. While they're not following the rules. There may be more than one occasion, but there's actually 2 occasions where they formally vote. Like they vote yay or nay. 3 yays. Okay. There may be more, I don't know. Like I said, I only have so many hours to do. And so, nobody's asked me who started the news channel. The city administrator started this news channel. The city administrator invited everybody into the news channel. The elected officials all accepted being in the news channel.
And the city administrator, that's from.
Was Becca, because she was our last city administrator. Yep.
Fire, John.
So obviously, the city administrator had the most messages in this thread, right? Roughly, when you do a sort, it appears to be somewhere around 795 in the quorum thread that she initiates. Out of elected officials, Mr. Shears had the #1 engagement at 376. Carrie, who's no longer an alderman, was at 307. Tracy was at 260. Aaron Center was at 78. Brendan was at 189. Sorry for going out of order. And Scott Greenwald was at 3. Like I said, this went back to 2020. City employees aren't subject to quorum. This is a really great tool for city employees. It's not a great tool for elected officials. So that's what I have about that. Huh?
CDC is calling.
You have a special ring like that for the CEC, really?
No. I'm out there after me.
Oh, I know.
Well, well,
Okay, we're watching way too much CSI.
yeah.
Well, I guess we know, now we know what's going on.
Actually, we're no better than they.
Well, we never confirmed it.
Well, no, yeah,
I never had some.
I never,
I never offered these, you know, moment I think.
Here's what I can tell you guys for sure. I'm gonna step in there because the way Mickey made that sound is that we have broken quorum. I spend hours and hours and hours ensuring we don't break quorum. Because I talk to people individually. Ah, no, it's not. It is not easy. And it takes a lot of hours to run a city.
I was afraid.
I know, but I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that everybody knew that we don't.
It's just rocket science. I can give you the very general things of 2017, for sure on the email discussion meetings, we first to do law. And the definition of an official meeting, as we know, 1-25-1, reference to telephone, reference to telecom. The definition of telecom is like that one. Includes the exchange of information via the internet or any other electronic medium. The analysis of the definition leads to the conclusion. Email instructions that include a form defined that the official business of that body be considered medium for the construction. Email a schedule similar activity was done in a different. Public meeting. That's the term generally for that change to public body.
Spell out the pros and cons of why we should consider proceeding with open meeting violations, but that was done by the fire council. Can you just put it out there last night? And anyone else?
Well, I think that the comment that was made about the whole office, as a solemn pledge, when we take elected office, it violates when official business of a public body is done violently outside of the participation in a public setting. You know, I'm an appointed official, I'm not an elected official, I've never been an elected official. I've taken the vote many times as a lawyer. And the lawyers have ethical obligations to support conduct of other lawyers that violate the ethics. I have affirmative obligations. I guess the question for elected public officials is knowing what you know. Are you upholding the vote? What does that mean to you?
That's one problem. I just understand.
By nature,
I know it put you on the spot. Well,
many of us in South Dakota don't like to rat out our neighbors. So, like to do that. This is a public business, so. Elected officials create a culture, whether they want to or not, by their conduct and behavior, they create a culture. And it's up to the citizens, ultimately, to develop us. The citizens of this town as well as I guess I would turn that to you. I don't think that. I don't have a residential industrial estate in the habit
but that is trivial compared to what.
That's correct. Yeah, right.
So there's 2,000.
Well, I mean, go wild on it, I mean, the tax goes potentially,
We have no idea.
yeah, I mean, just.
Just speculating.
And the thing turns out that, prosecutors have absolute discretion whether they.
But the council in just prior to the meeting. So this
This is the first time hearing anything.
Well, why would they want them to be discussing this, right? You know, I'll just turn it back in. I mean, how do you, I mean, at some point, you gotta let the sun in.
I just, it's something that is very complex.
Oh, this is, complex isn't even the word. Complex does not even touch what this city has been through.
Those meetings are really simple, and there's nothing complex about it.
No.
We run, I mean, I don't want council members to respond when I email, even though there's an attorney-client privilege. There's stuff for them to think about, so that then, it's an agenda item to be discussed publicly.
And just so you know,
And I don't mean to.
No, but that can- but even when Lacey has to send stuff to the government officials, she's got to do it one at a time. Even a one-to-many, I learned in elected official training when I just went to peer, that one-to-many could be misconstrued because any one of us could hit reply to all. So it has to be a one-to-one. She can do two at a time because that's not quorum, but she's got to send it. And I have to go one at a time because, you know, if I have two of you, then it's a violation. We can't do that. But every council does. Well, I tell you what, if the council wants to make public things that are not, you know, private in nature, like I mean, I don't know. It's a lot. It's like thousands of messages, you know, but that's fine. Well, there's an ongoing thread of how to handle Grant Park Capital. One of the, let me give you an example of something that I know is safe to show. Let me just give you an example. This moves really slow. I'll share my screen.
That was one that I thought of, the other one that I thought of, is, we had a number of and now we're gonna go back out.
Well, no one's in the news.
Well, Mr. Jefferson said people would usually discuss this.
Well,
So, let me,
there's headlines.
well, but the difficulty is that for people, and where people just let others lead and do stuff, and there's no accountability. What we want, I think you need to ask yourself, city government representatives, 3,000, whatever it is, 2,138 people. You can certainly bring this up as campaign issues. When they decide to run the county yourself, a lot of times that's probably. I think our mayor would testify, all the witness that things that bothered her about how things were being run, motivated to put herself out there.
I think I've been pretty vocal about that.
That's not of the pro, or caution in the field that, you know, you take your seriously, you don't violate it, you expect something that sounds worse than the old meeting, you know,
Yeah, public service isn't easy and you gotta want it, and it is thankless. It is absolutely thankless,
or that, and by you, I mean,
the collector.
that lazy, but the
Yeah. Okay, let me show you this. This will help give you an example. So like I said, the first message was on December 30th, right? And so, one question before tonight is the public knowledge of the sale of the city's, I'm at the wrong one, sorry. That was the last message. Okay, here's the packet for tonight's meeting. Okay, I understand the efficiency of it. This should have been done differently. Becca, I've been checking on, see what the process is for annexation. Finance officer is going through and talking about all of the stuff about annexation and how to file it and how to do it. What they're looking at is the state's petitions, and then they talk to Bell Rapids and somebody else, and then there's a proposed calendar here that talks about how they would like it done. And then, you know, so Mike and schedules engineers, he's gonna vote up or down on this so that we can get going, okay? And they check with Bell Rapids and Harrisburg, okay? Finance officer, by all rights, can do this, but it really shouldn't be done a one-to-many. That's been a vague thing for a lot of people. A lot of people genuinely, honestly didn't know that, right? They thought, well, if you just do one-to-many and say don't respond, then that's okay. We learned just this summer in here that you can't do that. And we're like, whoa, we just learned that, can't do that anymore. So Lacey's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, no, can't do that anymore. So, you know, honest error there. You know, Travis is saying the schedule looks good. And we'll have Mike and the engineers there. I think that's, you know, to the advantage. Did we ever receive a preliminary plat for the Stockwell edition? Well, there's your preliminary plat. Now, I saw that, I got all kinds of excited because one of our biggest hiccups is we always wondered what the first plan was, right? You know, we were wondering where it was because it's not in City Hall.
That's what infrastructure improvements were described, if any, on the preliminary plan.
The very, very, very first one. We wanted to see the very first one to see if there had been any changes, because we never really believed we saw the first one.
That's what the developer's obligations are. That's
Okay,
things like detention pond, water levels, no.
so you look at this, I'm all excited, you click on it, it says you don't have access, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't have access? So then I call the IT people, you know, our IT people now, Direct Technologies, fantastic people. And it turns out on the back side of this is what is called SharePoint. It's a file share place that you can put things, okay? And you go back there and all of them are empty. Cleaned out, zero. You can see they were all started in 2020, but they're all 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So what we can see is right now, not even in the fourth message, city critical information we needed that potentially could have helped us equip us. In our, how many months? Still, we don't have a settlement agreement fully realized. We still don't have this, okay? So that was my first point of concern. I think that kind of makes the point. I'm just trying to make sure I don't do anything. But we have that. Oh, well, okay, hold on. I gotta take this off screen because I don't want to make a mistake. And there's HR stuff and other stuff, and I just don't want to. Sorry, guys. Trying to do things right. Aren't you guys glad you came to this meeting? Yeah, you guys are just gonna table the rest of the meeting and come back another night after this, huh? Oh, let's do another one tomorrow. Why not? Actually, we do have one on Monday.
On Monday.
Why don't you start checking the agenda to see what we can table and do next week, and then we'll just do what we have to do tonight, okay? Because, I'm serious, 'cause this is. It's never dull in Baltic rice. Okay, so obviously, because we're in the business of Swiss cheese and trying to put things together, I had remarkable interest in anything that was discussed with Grant Park, trying to piece together information that we don't have. So we have, Travis asking, did we ever receive a preliminary plat? We have, here's the preliminary plat, but we can't see it, we don't know it, and I'm sure you didn't print it out because it was ridiculous document. Thanks. Tracy talks about Bulldog Days, but then she's also talking about Banner. You know, making sure that we do the first phase. She talks about, doing the sidewalks and the commercial property and, trying to figure out how to pay for things, basically. No, we're not there yet. Am I out of order? No, I'm still ready. So regarding approving the annexation, I feel like I'm out of order. Am I out of? Okay, do we need to do annexation and preliminary plat? Should we have it approved tonight without a lawyer on payroll? At this point in time, they were in between attorneys tonight.
I mean,
Thank you, Bryce. Okay, so basically what's happening is the council is discussing how to handle the meeting. Yep. The upcoming meeting, you put the lights on. The upcoming meeting where they have to decide about annexing. So, you know, we should withhold it. There should be a special meeting, help make sure I understand correctly. We can all vote to deny in preliminary. We have to annex the land first before we can make plat. We should table before we have a lawyer. Annexing the plants would be two separate votes. We can discuss with the attorneys and then you can direct me who to have a contract with. Yes, annexation must happen before plat approval. So you can see these are conversations that normally would happen here. It's just happening there. I can't show that one. And Travis, you asked another big question about regarding impact fees. So all the new lots, because that was a question that a lot of citizens were asking about impact fees and what to do about impact fees. Impact fees would have been a way to offset some of the infrastructure expenses that we were having. You would also find that, there was no water study done. They still needed to do one before they annexed this. And they talked a lot about how they really needed a water tower. This isn't new. Impact fees are tied to the purchase of the lot. Until the final plat is approved, not sure how this is all gonna work out. We're gonna talk with Pat Banner, see what he thinks. And Travis is saying sounds good, normal, and impact fee is set at a percentage, makes sense. Also note it's a separate fee from water hookups. Now the attorney, Tom, has confirmed that the council does not approve the final preliminary plat, which is an oxymoron, just so we're all aware. As P and Z has already done so, the council only approves the final plat. This is in line with our subdivision regulations and ordinances. This is where I kind of came to a dead stop. Because the reason why we got into such a scuffle with the developer is because the subdivision regulations and ordinances weren't followed. If you look at that, the first step is get a bond. So here the city administrator is educating all of the council and the inspector about the subdivision regulations and ordinances. And the thing that's really interesting about this is when we went back to Tracy's first meeting and she became interim mayor, I'm sure you remember that she had to appoint a P and Z committee because a citizen had pointed out that there wasn't the regular appointments being done for P and Z. It was just kind of a run-on, kind of like the way it was where everybody was getting appointed and there was no elections. So Tracy had to appoint a P and Z committee. They appointed Chris Dreyer as the president of the P and Z committee. And Chris Dreyer then ensued, letting everybody know, because I had suggested that maybe, because this is in the meeting, it's all on camera. It's all on camera. You can go back and refer to this. I'm going to share this with you to the best of my recollection. But I had said, well, why don't you ask to see who would be interested in being in the P and Z committee before you just turn around and appoint them? So Tracy then looked at the crowd and said, who would be interested in being on P and Z committee? And I kid you not, I think 12 people raised their hands, including the people that were on P and Z and other people in the group that wanted to be on P and Z. So that was kind of, I thought that was kind of amazing that we had that level of interest in being on P and Z. Then Chris Dreyer had this binder, and it was like, you remember it, big binder. And he's like, you guys need to understand how important it is to know what you're doing on the P and Z committee. There's so many rules and regulations and ordinances you have to follow, and it's a lot of responsibility, and you gotta know the stuff, and you gotta know the rules, and on and on and on and on. And he's tapping this big, thick book. So the question I always had was, where's that book? Because we've never seen it in this administration. We've never seen it. And I do recall that Chris Dreyer, when he was done being P and Z president, he left it at the meeting because remember he resigned or something because he's going to go get his PhD or something like that. And he was doing his final meeting. So he left it at the meeting. I believe that's correct. I have not gone back to look at it, but that's how I remember it. Because I followed up with Chris when all of this was happening and we found out that there was supposed to be a bond and there wasn't a bond. And Chris said, I sent him the subdivision ordinance regulations and he said that he had never seen them. And I'm like, seriously? How could you never see them when you're the president of P and Z? And he said, well, we always just trusted Becca. And, you know, because they were the full-time employees, that they knew what they were doing. And so we just kind of let them do that, and then we did what they said. Now, that's not quote unquote, obviously, it's just basically the opinion that they've given me. And I go, okay. And, then obviously Travis was on P and Z, and so I'd asked him, you know, have you ever seen the subdivision ordinance regulations? And Travis was like, no, I've never seen it. And he showed me his binder, and it wasn't in there. It wasn't in there. But I'm very hard pressed to believe that the subdivision ordinance regulations that were written in 2000, and Mike London was mayor, that they were written and they made the motion, and the three gentlemen that were on the P and Z committee with you, who also voted to approve this, didn't have copies of something that they approved, and the only person that was privy to this knowledge was the city administrator and the city attorney, who we also know was paid to review this document. And still didn't advise anybody to get a bond. He sent an email and said, hey, maybe we ought to work something out, maybe get a letter line of credit. And then we have a letter from a representative of the developer saying, yeah, you know, go ahead and get that to him, and then it's ether. We have no idea what happened after that. But I can tell you definitively, this town would have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars had that been followed and we had a bond. It comes down to that single issue. It's not complex. Very, very simple. No bond, big problem. Big problem. So I understand that people's hearts might have been in the right place and they were trying to do the right things for the right reasons. I understand that. But at this moment in time, none of these people were elected. They were all appointed. That's, you get to have, I'm here to answer questions. I'm here all night. I'm here to answer questions. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. Are you calling for an executive session? Okay. Do you want me here?
We gotta vote.
7:50 for executive, who, do you want me with you? Do you want to talk? Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. All those in favor of going into executive session? Say aye. Any opposed? Okay. I'm going to stop share.
We got a question about it.
Let's just say this, if you're not here, then we can't discuss it and we'll have to table it. How's that for an answer for you? Okay. For those of you that are online, what I'm gonna do is, what I normally do is I put you on mute. And I have to stop the recording and then we'll be back on when we're back.